I think the correct term is we're going to try to stretch it to 45 minutes for the Garrick interview.
Yeah, there you
go. We'll see how things take on. We'll see how things wind through.
We've never had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not even a little bit. And if it comes up short, I don't think anyone's going to complain too much.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. I'm
Cool.
recording.
As am I.
Me 3.
Are we recording the thing? Yeah, it says live.
Oh, we should do
We'll
clappers.
do 1, 2, 3, then clap. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, clap.
Yay.
Yeah, we good at clapping.
And we are synced. Yes. All right.
All right, let me get you up on screen. My notes up on this screen. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another slashMLS podcast. My name's Chris, Reddit username PatLanux11.
I am Ian, username Armaskarhu.
And I'm James, username Nefarious Joe.
The whole gang is here, except for a few of them. We have
Except for nearly half.
a very exciting happening on the podcast today, our very first ever player interview. We have Eric Gehrig stopping by, current Chicago defender, previous Columbus defender. Talk a little bit about playing soccer. It's a good thing to talk about on the podcast. But in the meantime, let's talk about something very surprising if you told us a year ago, but something we were all rooting for at this point. Montreal in the CCL final.
Can I admit something?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a safe place.
I was not super rooting for Montreal, honestly.
I actually am also in a weird place because they might actually win, and I honestly don't know if I could deal with that. I think I've actually said that on the podcast already, but like my brain, it can't handle that, and I don't want anybody to win it before LA.
So you guys were rooting. You guys were rooting for the same team that the racists were rooting for. Is that what I'm hearing here?
No. It's one thing to root for a team. It's another thing entirely to half expect Montreal to self-implode. I don't think that that's that weird.
It's kind of like, I guess I'm happy for Montreal, and I'm happy for their fans because they definitely deserve it. But at the same time, like I'm not as actively rooting for them as I was, say, last year in that San Jose game, or RSL a couple of years ago. It feels a little more, and maybe you've always been like this, James, because LA's always been in the mix. But now that DC is kind of consistently in the mix, it's like I would prefer to be the first ones, just because we're snooty DC fans who have like tradition on the backs of our shirts. So
exactly,
so
yeah.
You're losing the marathon, but you're going to take a few people down with you on the way to the finish line.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can make the argument, if you want to, that anything that it's good for the league. You finally beat the stigma of, not being able to win the CCL.
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of questions about Liga MX if America doesn't make it through. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about in Mexico, not so much like, oh, our league sucks now, but I think that people are going to wonder why, how they got knocked out of this tournament. That I honestly don't know how much the fans care, but I know that a lot will be made of it in the American press if we don't end up with a Mexican team in the final.
Well, Josh was mentioning it earlier this week that Liga MX is taking Libertadores a lot more seriously than they used to, potentially. Because I know there was Atlas was playing a Libertadores game yesterday against some team, and they were doing well. I don't remember who. I don't remember why. I don't really care. But in the choice between let's care about Libertadores or let's care about CCL, I know even if I were an MLS fan, which one I would pick. And my team my teams being a overall MLS fan were in both. So it is like it feels a little bit like this doesn't feel like an awesome competition anymore. It never really felt like an awesome competition, actually. But
do you think it's just this year because of what we're seeing in the final, or do you think that it's something like, the past few years we've all been excited as MLS teams made it to the semis, things like that? Is it just did it just get downgraded because Montreal is the team that's getting to the final?
Well, really, what I think it is that Montreal isn't playing a Mexican team to get there, which is really going to be which I think is really going to be the barometer. The thing that made CCL, and no disrespect to teams from Honduras or Costa Rica, but people don't care about the tournament at all unless it's an MLS team playing a Liga MX team. That's it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's that unusual. I mean, I think that's obviously expected. But since that didn't happen a whole lot this year, I think that a lot of people were particularly caring too much.
Montreal, in fairness, they did beat Pachuca, and I was rooting for them to do that. That was really awesome. So,
it's absolutely, you're absolutely right. But it's just that, I mean, I think this is as far as Alajuelense has ever gotten. It's like I don't even remember the last time they made it out of the group. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there might be, questions about the level of competition there and that sort of thing. And so it's very strange. Like, this is a weird tournament this year. A lot of Costa Rican teams made it out of their group, and a lot of Mexican teams didn't, and a lot of MLS teams didn't. And so, now, ultimately, that should be better, but it's less exciting.
Fun fact, this Costa Rican team that Montreal is probably going to play in the final, I guess we'll know by the time this episode goes out, wasn't even supposed to be in a tournament. They replaced Belmopan Bandits because Belmopan didn't have a suitable field in their country to play their home games on.
Oh my. Well, let's not count Club America at the Azteca out just yet.
No.
So yeah, it should be noted at time of recording that game is still about a little over an hour away, but it is by no means done. I know that they are down by a considerable margin, but it can definitely happen.
If Club America makes it to the final, are you guys back on board?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, it's
because I mean, I want to say we've already alienated some Montreal fans last time we talked about this.
I'm about to make it worse. I would be rooting for them, but there's no way in hell that they'd win.
Especially
not
Montreal,
over two legs.
1/3 of us is really rooting for you.
The other 2/3 are like, yeah, go do it. Okay, if you don't, whatever, it's fine.
My tune will probably be changing once the actual legs of the final are being played, and I'm sure that I would be rooting for them because I do like Montreal. I like the team. I like a lot of the players. I don't like the coach, but there's. I don't know. I'm just being an asshole because I want LA to win.
I mean, sort of likewise, but I also wonder, is it partially because Montreal won something of a bullshit tournament to even get here?
No. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, how else are you supposed to get a Canadian team in there if they can't qualify through MLS?
I know.
You got to get past Vancouver and Toronto, which weren't, they're not shabby teams.
Well, they only had to get past one of them.
Right, and 3 U.S. teams get to go. You don't even have to win in the U.S.
I don't know. I don't think it's unfair or anything like that.
No, I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying the way that they got to the CCL was.
Hold the phone, DC fan Ian.
Hey, we had to beat 4 MLS. We had to beat 4 MLS teams. We had to beat RSL on the road in a cup final. That is legit.
Okay, and you are the what team to do that?
RSL
has very famously lost every cup final that they've ever played at Rio Tinto.
That's amusing. Have they played many? I
No,
thought it was just big games.
No, it's not many, but there have been a few. So yeah, the only cup final they ever won was the MLS Cup final in Seattle.
And I'll argue that DC snuck their way in through the U.S. Open Cup. So
right.
Montreal's allowed to sneak their way in on their side too.
Well, yeah, we had to beat Chicago, New England, and Philly, and RSL. 2 of those games were on the road.
But I mean, is this
You
the?
did
But I
it.
mean, but
You
I mean, but
won
that's not.
those games only.
But I mean, but those are the. But I mean, but that wasn't even how they qualified for this past tournament, right? Like you qualified the one that we're currently playing. You qualified for being first in the East last year.
That's the next one.
No,
That's the next
one they're
one?
currently
God.
playing. Yeah,
Boy,
the one they're currently playing is their 4-win season is how they got in.
Yeah.
Wasn't that 2012?
No, that was 2013.
2013? Ah, okay.
2013 we won.
Yeah, and
We
the
won.
tournament starts
we
at
won,
the end of 2014.
Yeah.
we
Okay.
won 3 games in MLS and 4 games in the Open Cup, and yeah.
Okay, and this is why the CCL format sucks. By the way, is that exact conversation?
Yeah, so that's my other thing is that like, so these quarterfinals started when we were in preseason. I know we talk a lot about this and changing it up and whatever, and like how it would only appease MLS fans if we did that. Would it only appease MLS fans if we did that though? Because it doesn't make so much of a difference.
I mean, there's a huge delay for Mexican for most. There's a huge delay for most of the teams that are in there too. You know, like there are a few leagues that qualify like right before the tournament starts, but there are not many. More often than not, the team that you are playing is generally not the team that qualified. Essentially,
I just can't help but think if DC or LA were in this final, you guys would be seeing a completely different team right now.
100%, yes. I have no problem admitting that.
But you have to remember, Chris, that we're part of the fan bases who are used to being the teams that win everything.
Right.
Even if it's been a long time for us. It's still in my heart.
You're used to that, Ian? You're used to that? Like that's something that you're still accustomed to?
It's something that I grew up with. Sort of like my beautiful North Carolinian accent.
Sure, that's the adjective that we typically use to describe that. Yes,
yeah.
that accent that I honestly never noticed, not once.
Well, I don't. You guys are all not from North Carolina, so
that is
there
true.
were a bunch of I think I slipped into it when I talked to all those North Carolinians for the Charlotte thing that's going to go up at some point in my life.
Well, all of that said, it would be wrong to diminish Montreal's accomplishment. I mean, they've obviously. I mean, they've done some pretty amazing things up until now. But there's going to be a big fat fucking asterisk in my mind if they end up winning this whole thing.
But if it's against Club America, do we remove that asterisk for you?
No. This is the weirdest tournament ever. Like there is, I mean, just think about. All right, well, let's look at RSL's run. So that was that the 2011-2012
That was
CCL?
2011.
So 2010-2011.
Yes. I remember this vividly. Because I remember what I was doing that year.
What were you doing that year, Ian?
I was being...
all year.
What's that?
Riding a bicycle.
Okay. I don't think they had to beat a Mexican team to get there. I think they had to beat an MLS team and a Honduran team, if I remember correctly.
Not Honduran, Costa Rican. Okay, so they had to beat Columbus and then Saprissa, and then they lost to Monterrey. Oh wow. Okay, wait. Okay, the other side of the bracket was entirely Mexican. I'm surprised they let that happen. It was Toluca, Monterrey, Cruz Azul, and Santos. They were all on the same side of the bracket.
The way that it works is really stupid. So they do they don't draw anything because
they've changed the format since then. They've changed the format since this time because RSL was in the same 4-team group as Cruz Azul at the time, and 2 teams qualified out of it rather than having the 3-team groups that they have now. And so like now they have it set up so that an American and a Mexican team can't meet until the quarterfinals.
Right.
So it's.
But the way those teams are seeded is still pretty arbitrary. It's like you're seeded 1 through 8 based on how many points you get in your group, no matter how shitty your group is. Like our group was the shittiest. We got to play Tauro and Waterhouse, like Panamanian and Jamaican team, and it's like, okay, well, congratulations, DC, on your 4 wins.
Yeah, right.
So.
Well, hey, I guess it's a way of keeping it quote unquote fair-ish. That said, I don't know. I guess at this point I'll I'll say that I'll be rooting for Montreal. I've decided to change my own mind. Like I'm
Yeah,
feeling,
it's not.
I feel like
It's not like
such a thing.
it's not like we're rooting against them. It's just
Yeah,
that
no,
it's
of course
weird. Like this tournament feels weird. This tournament always feels weird, but it feels weirder now that it almost feels weirder now that Montreal is about to win it than when it does when we lose repeatedly to Mexican teams.
Well, absolutely. It's just because there's only one Mexican team in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time that happened?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, like women's, like this has got to be the first time in a long time where there isn't even like maybe even since the 2010-2011 tournament when there was no possibility whatsoever of it being an All Mexico final. So
I would look that up, but we should move on to other things about. Apparently, Chris is about to bitch about Columbus's road trip.
Columbus's road trip? I've been texting you guys all week. It's the worst road trip. They play in Vancouver tonight, Wednesday night, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then they have another match at 3 p.m. Saturday in New England.
I feel like that's not the absolute worst. That's not the worst possible. You go from Vancouver to Orlando.
Sure, you could, but no one ever has.
Vancouver did it. No, I'm kidding.
And on top of that, we've already had 2 bye weeks, so the scheduling just seems so weird.
For some reason, like is there any reason for that? Do you guys have field issues or something?
No.
It just happens.
No issues. It's just
Has it been cold, or is it snowing?
It's thunderstorming right now, so we can't have if they wanted to have a match here right now, they can't.
Well, that's why. I mean, Garber knew.
I mean, nix that right now.
Well, I mean, see, that's the thing is that April 8th was supposed to be a home game, but then he looked into his magic mirror and saw there was going to be a thunderstorm.
Let's move it further north.
Yeah, let's just flip it around and it'll be fine.
So I guess the team's actually leaving some of their players behind and flying them straight to Boston.
Splitting the squad.
Yes, I know. Well, Higuain was out on a red card for arguing with the ref. So he's staying here, and he's going to travel on the second leg of the trip, along with a few others, basically to just keep some fresh legs.
Huh.
So who isn't traveling?
Interesting. I would have to. I know Higuain isn't, and I haven't seen the rest of the decisions at this point.
Other crewmen?
Let me call GB up real quick and see.
Yeah, right. Triple G. That's what we used to call him. But yeah, Greg Berhalter for the uninitiated. Well, I think that there's MLS. MLS scheduling is weird. It's going to continue to be weird. I complained a few weeks ago about how there's going to be a major, a national team tournament every summer until 2020, until at least 2020.
I'm not complaining. I'm super stoked about it.
Yeah, about the Gold Cup. Is that something you're really looking forward to this year? After just having had one.
Absolutely.
I like the Gold Cup. I do.
So do I. I just don't think it should be every 2 years. It should be every 4.
Okay. But then how else is USSF gonna have money? Or CONCACAF or whoever.
Any number of a million ways? I don't know.
I guess is it traffic that makes money off of this? Is it the owner of the Railhawks that supposedly doesn't have any vested interest in the NASL but really does?
I'm sorry?
I don't know. I was listening to the Tannenwald interview on Soccer Morning the other day, and it piqued my interest, but not enough to know.
I'm sorry. I feel like we've made a right turn in the conversation. Why do you bring it up?
Well, because I want to know who the Gold Cup makes money for.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it makes money. I mean, it makes money for the people involved. So, I mean, the people
who are the people because CONCACAF handles marketing for the CCL. Do they also make money off of marketing for the Gold Cup?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do. I mean, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't they? It's the CONCACAF Gold Cup. I'm sure the smaller teams like being involved. I'm sure Costa Rica and Panama and all the teams that aren't going to be in the World Cup every time.
I don't know if you saw Costa Rica in the last World Cup, but they're tough to lump in with Panama right now.
Well, no, Fine. Let's pretend I said Honduras
Jamaica. You
instead.
said Jamaica.
There you go. But I mean, I'm sure that there is a certain amount of benefit there, but I get a little I get some tournament fatigue here, and I usually like a little bit of cool down after the World Cup myself, and also like it's just nice and even. I hate to get all Euro snob on everybody, but I like the way that the Euros work, where it's World Cup and then 2 years and then Euros and then 2 years and all that. It has a nice symmetry to it.
I think it gives us time to rebuild our team that we need, because we've been very experimental so far this year, and I think it's a good chance to start locking down what our squad's going to look like going forward.
And
okay, no. We were supposed to lock the squad down at the World Cup, and it wasn't. And so, anyway.
Well, once we...
whole nother conversation. Sorry.
Once we merge with CONMEBOL, we will have the every 4-year thing.
Yeah,
and,
obviously.
Even years
because that is indeed a thing that is going to happen, of course.
Yeah, I agree. I think you totally agree with me too.
Yeah, as people can plainly tell through tone of voice.
Why are we talking about this again? Oh, it's because someone was complaining about road trips. Because Columbus has to make...
It's not enough hours.
Scheduling being strange.
Both matches on artificial pitches also.
Oh, fun.
Well, at least Higuain will only be playing in one of them then, I guess. Shall we, speaking of terrible work on the pitch, shall we move on to Philadelphia's ever-unfolding goalkeeper situation?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So their number one is sucking so goddamn bad for reasons that I would like to speculate on in a minute. They loaned away their previous number one, and due to the way that intra-league loans work, they can't actually recall him. And their hot shit keeper that they drafted number one 2 years ago is injured. So, what is going? Yeah, okay. So
we're about ready to pull up a league pool keeper.
Well, no, I mean they have a number three.
They have goalies.
Yeah, it's like no, they absolutely have him. Sorry, let me look up what his name is.
It's
shout out to John McCarthy.
I was gonna say it's close to Stephen Caldwell, but it's not because that's another.
But it's not at all because there's.
They're both names.
I think that there are two letters in there that they have in common. What headspace has Jim Curtin got to be in right now?
Well, this isn't Jim Curtin's fault. This isn't even a little bit Jim Curtin's fault.
Well, he was breaking some legs in the locker room.
I'm not saying it is.
Wait, so what are you asking, I guess?
What has got to be going through somebody's head when they're in a situation like this?
Jim Curtin or Rice and Bully?
Well, the manager of the team.
Well, his goalkeeper sucks, and he wants a new one. His goalkeeper is one of the worst in MLS. And that happens. I mean, I talked about it earlier this week. Like, this is sometimes what happens when you overpay for somebody based on their World Cup performance, based on an extremely small sample size, which is what Tottenham did with DeAndre Yedlin. This is what Philly is doing. You're not supposed to do this. This is how you lose at soccer. And in MLS,
I don't think Tottenham was betting the team on Yedlin. They were just picking up a player with a lot of potential and speed. I think that
it's like
It might not have been for Yedlin, but for them, why not pick him up? He's got promise. He's got speed.
I mean, and how much could he have possibly cost, right?
Right. It's much less worse for Tottenham, but they did still overpay for somebody who had a great performance at the World Cup because he had a great performance at the World Cup. Philly doing the same thing is much, much, much worse for them because their salary cap, is a lot less, and they're just pretty terrible at managing money in general, as it's seemed over the last couple of years. So.
Okay, well, and to going back what you said about it being Jim Curtin's fault,
No, it's not his fault.
Well, no, I know, but okay. So the real question is, I mean, he was playing for an awfully long time, and so it makes you wonder. I mean, how long were the signs there? And do we think that this is something that is just recently cropped up? Like, did he do fine in preseason, and then all of a sudden, somebody put a gun to his head and said, "You're going to start sucking now, or else."
He just was never a spectacular goalie. He was never a $500,000 goalkeeper.
I mean, do we just think that he's just straight up not good enough? Is that really what we're trying to say here? Is like because
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he is playing like somebody who should not be playing professional soccer. He is somebody who should not be paid to play the game. And I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time believing that he's really that bad. It makes me think that there might be something else going on there.
Well, I mean, it could be a cold streak or, not getting the right reps with the team or something like that. But the sample size is kind of low. I mean, you talk about the World Cup being a small sample size, but how many matches are we in this season?
Yeah,
about
but
one World Cup's worth?
It's 5, but you also have to take into account the 15 or so he started last year, where he wasn't very good either.
Well, where do you go from here? I mean, do you just try to sell him off to whomever will take him?
I think it's going to just become like Cleveland Browns quarterback situation where they just keep rolling through him.
Chris, you would know about that. You're in that state or whatever.
Or whatever.
Good. Solid.
Yes, Ohio is a state, and yes, he lives there.
The Browns play here too. All the pieces are coming together.
Oh my God.
No, but I will say, James, I think and this isn't I haven't actually talked to anybody about this, but I have read things that indicate this, that goalkeeping along with striking is one of those things where a deficit of confidence can be very harmful.
Right.
More harmful.
Well, obviously, I mean, if you're
obviously pro soccer, but more harmful.
Well, no, I mean, it's like the decision making for a goalkeeper is of paramount importance, and if you're second guessing your decisions and you're taking that much longer to make them, no, I mean, I think that it's more important for a goalkeeper than just about anybody on the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Which is exactly what it looks like was happening. I mean, how many times against KC did he just look like he was in no man's land? Like he was in
right,
between,
like he was up and then back.
Right. And the weird thing for me though is that he straight up just got sent home. Like he's in France now, and instead of hanging out with the team and at least training and working out with the team, I feel like that's weird. I've never heard of that before.
And they
just got sent home.
And they practically came out and said that it was best that he wasn't with the group, and so it's
he put as much of a positive spin on it as he could, but there's not much of a positive spin there, really, but
yeah. So I mean, I guess they're just gonna eat the contract until it's up, or something. It'll be. I mean, if you're a goalkeeper and you crash out in MLS, I have a hard time believing that you're going to have a lot of guys out there who are going to be clamoring to pick you up, at least in the top flight league anywhere.
Yeah. And Philly's goals, just to put a bow on Philly's goalkeeping situation, it was already dubious when they had McMath and traded up to draft Andre Blake, and then
right.
Yeah.
and then acquired another guy. Yeah, it's... Well, that gives us room to switch to good goalkeepers. We got Derek killing it.
Yeah.
Saving the week every week.
So, it'll be interesting to see if he can make it 4 in a row. I mean, his one this week is relatively unspectacular, but there's a part of me that thinks that there's going to be a pretty strong contingent of people who are just going to throw votes his way to keep the train rolling.
He's still not the best goalie in MLS right now, though.
Who is?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's in a...
Obviously.
Well, okay, for once, we agree, but...
Who did you say? I didn't hear it.
He said Hamid, because of course he did.
And because it's true.
And... No, you did not say it because it is true. You said it.
I said it because it's true.
But you said it because of the goalkeeper from DC United.
I said it because I've watched him. Every win that we have is because of him right now. If we didn't have him, we would have 0 points.
Defense, not a good goalie.
It is 100% about Bill Hamid.
It is 100% about Bill Hamid. Yes.
He is currently leading the league in goals minus expected goals. Minus 3.5.
Well, but I mean,
are we just dumping Ramondo by the wayside now? Is that what we're doing?
Bill Hamid is absolutely playing better than Nick Rimando right now. Yes.
Like
Tyler Derek.
Armando has more around him, honestly.
Well, I mean, are we sure about that? I mean,
I think so. They have.
Is anyone ever sure about anything?
Are you sure this isn't the beer episode there, Chris?
Anyway.
But yeah, fantastic. I mean, he's making multiple ridiculous saves weekly. Derek, I'm not saying he's the best. I'm just saying he's
certainly the most
fun to watch.
Yeah, he's in a Dan Kennedy kind of situation where he is constantly in a position where he has to make great saves, and most of the time he is making them. So, and actually, kind of the vast majority of the time, Houston has a not a great record, but certainly better than I think a lot of us expected, and I think a lot of that is due to him.
And that goals minus expected goals stat that I just mentioned, Derek is second, so he is legitimately responsible for a lot of Houston's points, however small that they might be. And he's definitely responsible for keeping him in games like that Seattle game, and pretty much every other game that they've played this year. Without him, if you replace him, I bet if you replace him with their backup with Joe Willis, Columbus probably scores a goal against y'all or against Houston.
Oh, it's ridiculous that none of those Columbus goals went in. It was just exactly. Bad luck, and Derek playing out of his mind all year apparently.
Yeah, and Derek may have been responsible for Orlando's goal there, but if you put Joe Willis back there, it's probably 2 goals for Orlando. Colorado didn't generate many chances against Houston because they're Colorado, but the other game, I guess Seattle was their 4th game. That is a lot less close without Derek. I mean, all of these things are obvious, but in terms of most valuable goalies to the league right now, he's definitely.
Yeah, I think that guy's going to get a hell of a raise pretty soon.
And maybe a national team look?
I mean, he was someone who came into the. I mean, it was a big question mark on the team at the beginning of the season, and now he's just blowing up.
Well, he had a great end of the season last year when Tally Hall first got injured. I mean, a lot of people had never really seen this guy before, and he opened a lot of eyes really fast.
I think we've seen that with a lot of backup goalkeepers in the league too. I think there's a lot of depth there that we just don't realize. That's the step forward. Because I mean,
Jeff
these guys are really older than the other players too, so they have more experience under their belts too.
Yeah. No, it's kind of crazy. If you were to, and it's kind of messed up. Like if you were to take the top 15, say goalkeepers in the league, they wouldn't all be starters. It's like there are some teams like Philadelphia, which have this embarrassment of riches on paper, but I don't think any of those 3 or technically even 4 would make that top 15 list. But maybe guys like Brian Rowe, Tyler Derek isn't a backup anymore, but like Jeff Antonella, I think that they would make that.
I think. Yeah, I would say Attinella, Dan Kennedy, and John Bush, all of whom are not starting, would all be a top 15 goal in MLS, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
All right, let's take this opportunity to jump over to an interview with the man himself, Eric Gehrig. We will see you on the other side.
Bloop.
I have to go to sleep soon.
Okay. Well, we can just wrap it. Oh, I mean. If you want, we can just
bring us back. Can we talk Fire for like?
Like talk about the Chicago Fire, just to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to wrap it in. So yeah, we'll take 5 minutes, talk about the Fire, and then wrap it up and be done. I'm okay with that. If Chris is about to pass out, which it definitely looks like he is.
I need to. I have to wake up in a couple hours here.
What are your work hours?
Usually, I have to either be in at I basically have to be in like an hour or 2 before events start. So tomorrow there's one going at 7, so I have to be in by 6.
Ugh.
It's pretty terrible. Some days I can go in later, but tomorrow's a wake up at 5 a.m. kind of day.
That sucks. Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's get this going for you.
All right. What? How did the interview end? I'll just say we're back. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You've been ESPN'd.
Yeah, I was about to
This
say,
is
is that the
Sports Center.
ESPN thing?
And we are back. One more big thank you to Eric Gehrig for being our first player on. Hopefully there will be many more to follow. Super exciting. Let's talk. We wanted to talk about Chicago a bit. We've spent most of the year just shitting all over them. And now that our good friend Eric Gehrig's been on the show, let's reel it back in, everybody.
Well, it's convenient that we did that now that Chicago's actually a good soccer team. Maybe.
I think they got the /MLS bump.
Yeah, so yeah, we need to get a Galaxy player on your stat so they can have the same benefit.
No deal.
That's okay. We don't.
Yeah, well, there have been a lot of people that have been saying that they always have their turnaround against Seattle, which I don't think that's going to happen this year. Anyway, but yeah, Chicago. It's nice to see that their attack is finally coming together, and that their DPS are actually all contributing at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Question for you: did we see it only because they're playing Philadelphia, who isn't too impressive a team so far this season?
They also beat Toronto.
Yeah, and that was actually my favorite game of the season so far. That game was awesome.
You like that more than the set piece orgy?
Yes, I did. No, I'm actually one of those weird guys. I actually don't really like set pieces in soccer. I don't like set piece goals. Like free kick goals don't. It's fucked up to say that they don't impress me, but I prefer like open play team goals. Like those are the things that I really look for, and that's something that Chicago is actually starting to do really well.
I think everyone prefers that, but hey, we'll take what we can get.
Hey, it's
maybe
you're right.
You should be penalized a little bit for committing fouls, and that's what free kick goals are for.
No, of course. No. I mean, of course. I'm not saying that they should be removed from the game or anything.
Or are you?
Or am I? Yes, I am.
Jane?
Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just.
It's like anarchy, not the way.
Yeah, no, like,
let's
no.
It out there.
No, I think that we should go back to the 1918 rules, and no, you're not allowed to pass forward, and nobody ever gets called for anything, and so.
Wait, was that a rule? You're not allowed to pass forward? That doesn't seem correct.
No, that was absolutely true.
You couldn't.
My
ever
right
play the
hand to
ball
God, that was true.
There's no way. How did you? Can you like dribble it forward?
Yeah, that was the only way you were allowed to move forward. That's why you can't pass forward in rugby, because they did not change that rule. So like, wow, I cannot believe that you guys. What? You guys never read Inverting the Pyramid? No. So that.
No,
I haven't read every book. Okay.
So imagine a triangle, and how the widest point is at the back now. It used to be.
What is a triangle?
The widest point used to be at the front, because that's where like you could pass back and dribble forward. So you all had to bunch up together, and people were kick. And they used to talk about dribbling versus tackling versus passing, and back then tackling meant literally kicking people. So it was a different game.
Were back heels more prevalent?
I have no idea. I wasn't there. Although my impulse says no.
Drilled by another dude.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, the issue at hand is Chicago. I still think my respect to Gehrig, I still think that their defense is a little bit of an issue.
A little bit, but I will say, watching that whole game, having had Gehrig on the podcast, it's not Gehrig's fault if the defense is the issue.
Well, I would actually completely agree with that. I would say that they're
it is 100% Lavelle Palmer's fault. He is the worst. Sorry, Eric.
I would agree with you. I think very little of Lavelle Palmer. I mean, he's a guy who's bounced around the league kind of a lot, and I think for good reason. I do find it surprising that he constantly starts on most of the teams. I don't think I'll forget him. I remember totally calling that he was going to miss his penalty in the 2013 final. I called that from a mile away. I was like, oh look, it's Lavelle Palmer. He's totally gonna miss. But no, I think central defense is a little bit of an issue with them right now. Jeff Lermanowitz is doing a surprisingly good job, but I think that his presence is missed in midfield, and so they have a greater responsibility that they might not be ready for completely. And also, Sean Johnson is not playing like his old self right now.
Yeah, but we do know from DC's 2013 and 2014 that a goalie only looks as good as his central defense in front of him.
Yeah, but I don't think that the central defense has taken a huge down. Like, I mean, central defense has been a problem for Chicago for a while.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, I do think that he's had a little bit of a downtick. It's something that I don't think that he can't or won't recover from, but it's something.
He also didn't play this last game against Toronto, so that one goal that was really awful was not.
No, of course not. But I just mean in general. I just mean season wide. I think it's safe to say that he'll be back in goal before too long.
For sure. And I will say I'm just excited for this Chicago team that's just going to try and outscore people. That sounds like it's going to be fun.
No, me too. I mean, the people up front are doing kind of amazing, and I mean, God, their rookie has worked out 2 years in a row. When was the last time that happened? Like L.A., right? When it had Sean Franklin followed by Omar Gonzalez. Like,
we've had our rookie workout for many years in a row.
Well,
our first round pick.
Yeah.
We had
okay.
Chris Pontius.
Hey! You guys are both great. You both love great teams.
Nick DeLeon. Then we had Taylor Kemp. Then we had
Taylor Kemp. Yeah.
You had Nahar.
He was a homegrown player, not a draft pick.
Yeah, Najar.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to look up in Chicago. They looked like they were in complete disarray in week 1, and they really pulled it together.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So who's your new worst team in the league? Everybody, lay it on me.
Philly.
Houston.
Really?
Houston?
I would never say that.
That's who I put in the bottom of my power rankings.
I would say
I'm a power ranker on RMLS.
There is nothing going right in Philadelphia, and there are actually things going right in Houston.
I am a believer that there's something at least a little bit going right, because they were, after 90 minutes, winning in Kansas City. I feel like when that happens, just because you give up 2 goals in the final 5 minutes doesn't mean you're the worst.
That means a lot.
It does mean a lot. It means that they suck, but it doesn't mean that they suck the most.
Look, and
I don't know that there really is. Okay, there's obviously a worse team in the league, but I don't think there is an MLS team that sucks.
Well, I don't think there's a team that totally can't turn it around. There is no Chivas right now. There is no easy answer.
Well, I don't think Colorado's going to turn around, just because I don't think.
Oh, I do.
Like the scoring, they're going to they're going to pick up points, but they're not ever going to be like in the serious conversation. Like, they'll probably be at the bottom the whole year, but there are things about Colorado that I like. Like I think I like them defensively, and I still like Dylan Powers, and Gabby Torres is surprisingly competent, and Mark Birch is back. Because Mark Birch didn't play the whole last year, right? So when you lose your captain / center back, that's problematic, and he's back, and they are not leaking as many goals.
No, there's a lot. No, there's a lot that I like about Colorado, especially after this last game. I mean, tragic. I'm sure you guys. I know this was already talked about, but it's hilariously tragic how they haven't scored yet. But I don't know. I think that they're 2-3 weeks away, and they're going to start. And they're going to start actually putting up really respectable results. Okay.
Do we want to move to what we're excited about this weekend, and then bold predictions, and then be out of here?
Sure. I think we were talking about it a little earlier. We're excited about everything this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Is there a game that we're not excited about?
Game that we're not excited about. Real negative fancies today.
Dallas, Colorado isn't particularly intriguing to me.
I'll always watch Dallas play. I don't care who they're playing. And you just
I know
Colorado long term.
I do, but I mean, but
Not this week.
they're not that game. No,
Yeah,
I mean it's not going to go well for them. Like if there's ever going to be a game that's not going to prove my point this year, it's that one, especially now. But Houston, Montreal,
particularly.
Yeah, I'll put Houston, Montreal on the pile.
yeah, but like San Jose, Vancouver probably feels like a foregone conclusion. But there are some interesting things going on in San Jose. DC and New York seem to be about on the same level. Columbus, New England will be fun, if only for the revenge factor from last year. LA, Seattle, even as a neutral, I think would be the game I would be most looking forward to. But yeah, I mean that's always a good game. Even when one or both teams are playing shitty, that game is always amazing. That matchup is always amazing.
As a neutral, I would take New England Columbus as my must-watch game of the weekend.
Well, Columbus isn't quite doing well. Beyond just like the brutal road trip that they have before they get there,
Yeah,
they also haven't been playing kind of how I hoped that they'd be playing.
Well, they haven't been playing
3 games.
at all.
Yeah,
that's true. But it's just
disappointed you what in one match, 1.5.
Well, more like 3 actually. I mean, it hasn't. It certainly hasn't been the. Not only have they not been the Columbus from last year, they don't even look like that's what they're trying to do, and that's
I think they look better than last year. Honestly, I think that they struggled against New York, but I think in their first 2 matches, just the flow, the chances created, the possession, the passes completed, like everything is just like perfect, except that they were having trouble slotting the goals home.
Okay.
Like I'll say that New York was definitely a rude awakening on that front.
Right.
And we lost the possession in that one, but I think this week will be. I think between they're playing Vancouver, they're playing New England, both road games. I think we're going to kind of get an idea of what they're going to do this year just looking at the matches this week.
Is it worrisome if they don't? Is it worrisome if they don't get any points or if they only get 1 point from those 2 matches?
I mean, honestly, if they get 1 point from the 2 matches, it's better than it could be. Like I said, we're going to be playing with weakened squads on both sides.
Yeah.
But it'll be a good chance to test our depth, see how they work together. Yeah, I mean, it's always worrisome if you go, that would be 3 matches in a row without pulling any points out. That would for sure be worrisome. Actually, that would be 4 of 5 that they didn't get any points. So I am expecting them to get at least a couple points out of the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, as a team that we were tapping as a elite contender at the beginning of the year, you should get some points from the other elite teams.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a minimum of 2 points, but we'll see how it plays out. Okay. I mean, if it doesn't play out well, it is a really difficult road trip. We're coming off of the bye week. I won't panic yet, but I would love, it would affirm that we're on the right track if we can pull some points out of the week.
And you are in the East, so.
you always gotta throw in that dig, that self burn.
Well, it's just like even if they're only at 3 points at the weekend from 5 matches, it's not like that's 5 tough matches. You go to Houston for their home opener, which they always win by, for whatever reason. Like last year's home opener, they beat New England 4-0. So these things happen. You play New York, who's apparently really good. You go and you beat Toronto, which great. You go to Vancouver, you go to New England. Those are like some of the hardest fixtures in MLS right now. So, you've got a lot of games left against Montreal and Chicago and Philly and
right.
Like yeah, but like I said, I think that we're gonna finally kind of see them either put it together this weekend or kind of see where the flaws are in the system. I think one way or the other, we'll know a lot more by next week.
Yeah. Oh, show. All right, so bold predictions. Mm-hmm. Wow, I guess I'll start. I'm going to reverse myself for the second time today. So after declaring that I will, in fact, be rooting for Montreal, I'm going to say, fuck you guys. Not only is Colorado going to score this weekend, they're going to win. They're going to beat Dallas 2-1 in Dallas.
Someone else called Colorado doing something in Dallas this week.
Oh, I don't know.
Because you weren't here for the earlier podcast, but let me break out the /MLS bold predictions document and find out. Wow, Chris says what he
boldly predicts. My bold prediction is Montreal wins the CCL over Club America and wins all of your respect.
Very bold indeed.
And also, Columbus pulls at least 2 points out of this goddamn road trip.
Okay.
So what the other bold prediction was that Pete predicted, not as impressively, that Colorado would both score and draw Dallas. So
okay.
you're going one step further. So
I am.
Does that nullify Pete's prediction? I don't know, because I think.
Well, I mean, I think that turns it into a bet. Well, he and I will figure something out. And if they end up losing 4-0, we'll just call it a draw.
All right. That's it. Did we get Ian's bold prediction yet?
Yeah, no.
My bold prediction is pretty simple. We won up New York, beat them 4-1.
Who does?
Of the Atlantic
DC.
Cup.
The D's?
Yeah, the D's.
That is very bold indeed. Write that down and then go back to it and then be like, God, why did I say that?
I'm still over on my bold predictions this year, by the way.
What do you mean over?
Well, and they're not bold enough. That means you're losing.
No. Over.
I
haven't got one right.
No, nobody has.
I thought you said over, like you.
Yeah, it's like as opposed to under. Yeah. No, we all are. Nobody is right.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Nah, Pete called Portland beating Dallas by 2 last week. And Chris, you said Chicago would win in Philly.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's the only ones.
Chicago winning in Philly was not bold.
Well, it was, considering that they played in Chicago, right?
Or beating Philly, right? They would fly to Philadelphia and then physically beat them. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Let's call it, guys. Thanks for joining us, everybody. A big thank you to Eric Gehrig. Follow us on Twitter at /MLS. Send us an email. We're desperate for him. We just love company.
/MLSpod@gmail.com. We've been getting that wrong this whole time, by the way.
All those emails you've been sending us
you
have
couldn't
not
set
been
up
coming
/MLS@gmail.com? You couldn't
No. Okay, so Josh did that earlier this year, but then we all forgot the password for it. And I didn't. Oh, no. Okay, it's not even that. It's /MLS
ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
It's /MLSpodcast@gmail.com.
/MLSpodcast@gmail.com. Please, for the love of God, we didn't want to waste all this time without you sending us a message.
Yeah.
We've gone through multiple accounts, multiple passwords.
Very professional. A quick shout out to our friend and producer Austin. A big thank you for setting up the interview with Eric Gehrig, and send him your good vibes. You can really use them right now.
Indeed.
That's it. The end.
Yeah.
We'll end it on that.
Okay.
Send me good vibes.
Chris, if